Good morning from the heart of New York City. This is Food School Smarter, Stronger, Leaner podcast dedicated to one thing: to learn and apply to eat better daily. I'm your host, Shurina from CreateYourself.today, your personal nutritionist, your personal health and wellness coach, your personal fat loss guru, and just someone with a lot of passion for healthy eating, healthy food, nutrition, everything and anything we put on our plates and in our mouth to feel better, look better, and perform better on all levels, hopefully. Because if we put on our plate and in our mouth the wrong thing, then we can look worse, perform worse on all levels, and definitely have not the best health. Today, guys, we continue talking about fake foods and how to distinguish between fake foods and real foods, and why it's important to be able to choose and know how to choose real foods versus fake foods for your health and to satisfy your nutritional needs, to get more energy, to again look better, feel better, perform better on all levels. Today we're gonna talk about fish, beef, chicken, tomatoes, and bananas, and coffee, and honey, and tea, and spices, and even juice. So let's start with fish. Again, we talked a little bit about fish in the first episode, and fish is amazing food, especially fish like salmon or sardines has a lot of amazing nutrients like omega-3 fatty acids that every healthy person needs to eat. And the best way still to consume omega-3 fats are from your foods, and there's been a lot of research going on that you cannot even compare the absorption rate of real omega-3 fatty acids from real foods, compare it to supplement. Like, the body always works better with real foods. Plus, it's much harder to keep the fatty acids, omega-3 fatty acids, fresh and of good quality in a supplement versus whole foods, well-preserved whole food. So fish, guys, I always recommend to eat fish. Also, the protein in fish has much less negative effects when it comes to protein. Protein still questionable item, especially if you're concerned with longevity and inflammation and different health conditions associated with overconsumption of protein. So fish is probably the healthiest source of protein, but that only goes for fish of good quality. So what is a fish of good quality? So fish basically that is not full of mercury or other toxic metals, fish that was not fed antibiotics or hormones or different dyes to make it look redder. Like, for example, for salmon, if your salmon is not wild, then the producer will feed it different colorings to make it look like real salmon. Anyway, when I talk about fish, I always talk about the qualities. For example, if I buy my salmon, then I buy only Alaskan salmon, because actually the quality of seafood is written into the constitution of Alaska state, and there is no such thing as farmed Alaskan seafood. So all the food that comes from Alaska is wild, and it has no or very, very little contaminants, if ever. So people ask me, aren't you concerned about like mercury in fish and stuff? I'm like, I know where my seafood comes, and there might be trace remainings of mercury or things like that, but if you buy your fish, your salmon from Alaska, so there is almost no chance that you get toxic amounts of heavy metals. And in Alaska you also can get other fish, of course, and seafood. So if you buy seafood, try to get Alaskan seafood. Also great seafood comes from Mississippi Gulf, especially wild shrimp. Or if you're gonna go for lobster, then always buy Maine lobster and also scallops and fish. And to make shopping for healthy seafood easier, go to stores like Whole Foods, like Trader Joe's, like Costco, because even if they sell farmed fish or farmed seafood, at least on the label it's gonna say so, and it's gonna say where it comes from. And stores like Whole Foods, like Costco, like Trader Joe, they actually care about the truth that the producer puts on the label. So that's like the shortcut if you want to get the quality of the fish that is written on the label. So that's one thing. Also make sure that, for example, when I buy canned fish, like canned sardines, I always buy certain brands that that have good reviews. So for example, if I buy my sardines, either Crown Prince or it's Wild Planet, the same goes for other seafood. The producer matters. It's not only when it says organic or wild, but actually producer matters, because not all producers are honest and put on the label what is actually in the packaging. By the way, guys, there is no such thing as organic fish or all natural or sushi grade. Those labels mean nothing and controlled by no one. The only thing that really has any meaning is wild. And again, try to get your food from places like Whole Foods, Trader Joe, or Costco. Okay, that when it comes to fish. If you want to buy chicken, guys, there are not so many certifications at all for chicken especially. But again, go to Whole Foods, go to Trader Joe. If you know a good farmer in your area, then sign up with them for some kind of box that will be delivered to you. If you buy your chicken, make sure it says no antibiotics, no hormones. If it says pasture raised, that is the best. Also, there is a great brand of chicken products. It's called Smart Chicken. But again, when you're buying your chicken or anything, make sure that on the packaging it says no hormones, no antibiotics, pasture raised is the best. And again, try to shop in places like Whole Foods or Costco or Trader Joe's that make sure that the quality of the foods that they put on their shelves is the best. When it comes to meat, to beef, it's very important, guys, to buy beef grass-fed, grass-finished. American Grass-Fed Association, that's the organization that controls the quality of grass-fed beef products in US. American Grass-Fed Association, make sure to look for that on the label. Then if you're buying meat of bison or buffaloes or lamb, that is much safer. Like bison and buffalo, they're always grass-fed, they're always not fed any kinds of antibiotics and hormones. And guys, if you're buying conventional beef or meat or chicken, realize that feeding those animals blood and fat and feces and meat and remains of other animals is a common practice in the industry, unless it's specified that it is certified by American Grass-Fed Association, or it doesn't have any hormones and any antibiotics. So unless it specifies something like that, and you buy generic meat, generic beef, or you eat out all the time somewhere, realize that your meat will probably contain antibiotics and hormones and all kinds of inflammatory and gut inflammation and autoimmune reaction causing substances. So I would highly not recommend to get conventionally grown beef and meat. Plus, grass-fed beef, for example, higher in omega-3 fatty acids, in vitamins A, E, in antioxidants. So guys, yeah, you can get your antioxidants even from meat and from chicken. Chicken is actually one of the highest source of, for example, selenium, one of the most powerful antioxidants for longevity. So just make sure that your animal products are of good quality and they can deliver all the nutrition that you'll ever need, except for fiber, but that's for another day. So that's when it comes to meat. Quality, guys, matters a lot, and some meat can make you sick indeed, but some is actually really good for your health. So next thing, let's talk about honey. A lot of people, when I start working with them and tell them to go sugar-free, they tell me, what about honey? But did you know, guys, that honey is third most faked product in the world? USDA created grading system, grade A, grade B, grade C, but did you know that nobody ever checks those grades? And if somebody puts on their label organic and grade A, it means nothing, and nobody will ever check that grade. Sometimes independent companies, independent organizations check the quality of honey on the shelves of different supermarkets, or quality of honey of different producers, and they put out their independent report. But other than that, USDA doesn't check anything. So when you buy your honey in the supermarket, it's the third most fake product in the world. Basically, you a lot of times buy just high corn fructose syrup or some sugary concoction with a little bit of honey added to it. So in case somebody actually checks the quality of that product, it's much more difficult to identify the fake if there is a little bit of honey added to it. So honey, guys, just don't buy it. Coffee is the 5th most fake product in the world. Tea is also somewhere close to that. By the way, whole beans, of course, of coffee are the hardest to fake. But even there, yeah, you see, whole coffee beans. But for example, a lot of sellers, of course, who don't have the conscience to put the good quality product out there. A lot of sellers would put Robusta coffee beans that are much inferior in quality and taste instead of Arabica that costs 2-3 times more. And then when you buy coffee grounded, or especially when it's instant coffee in a powder, in that powder, they checked, some organization checked what can be in your coffee, and they put their roasted corn and barley and parchment, chicory, cereals, caramel, starch, sawdust. You might be thinking, I'm eating gluten-free and sugar-free, but then your coffee can contain all that nasty barley and corn and parchment, or starch and caramel and cereals. So guys, make sure that you buy your coffee, especially instant coffee, from someone who you trust and whose quality you can actually check. Teas, the same thing. A lot of 1/3 of actually herbal teas is not what it says on the packaging, and very few people can actually identify or differentiate from good quality teas from fakes. What's also fake out there? Rice, basmati rice, that's one of the highest quality and only grown true basmati rice that has fragrant flavor and delicate consistency, is grown only in some areas of India and Pakistan, and a lot of times would be faked to make it cheaper, but of course the taste and the texture is not the same. Spices, like oregano, like turmeric, like nutmeg, also are very often faked. Instead of oregano, you can get all sorts of weeds. Instead of turmeric, there can be corn. Instead of nutmeg, there can be some nutmeg mixed with pepper, because pepper is cheaper. When you buy juices in this country, most of that juice is apple juice or lemon or orange juice. And when you see on a label, guys, for example, something that says 100% cranberry and blueberry cheese or juice, that is actually from a real example. On the front label, if it says 100% blueberry and cranberry juice, it actually doesn't have to mean that most of the juice is cranberry or blueberry. Most of the times, you would turn the label, look at the back label and ingredient list, and the first ingredient is going to be something like apple juice, the cheapest juice that producers make out of some Chinese concentrate. And then there's going to be maybe lemon juice, and maybe a small percentage, like 10% or less, going to be blueberry or cranberry juice. So guys, your first defense is read ingredient list when you buy different things. It's amazing for me how many people don't ever check ingredient list. Like whenever I am about to buy a new product or anything, I always turn it around and look on the ingredient list, no matter what it says on the front label, because actually, according to law, they can put almost anything on front label. It doesn't mean anything. It's just advertising, literally. I didn't know that it was the case until I read this book, Fake Foods, Real Foods, Fake Foods. The link to that food is going to be in the show notes, guys. Fascinating book. A lot of stories about cheese and wine and even Kobe beef. It's like the best beef from Japan. Well, anyway, fascinating book. But let's talk a little bit about things like tomatoes and bananas. Did you know that if you buy tomatoes and bananas in any generic store, most of it, 95%, are not, they are still tomatoes and bananas, but 95% of them were green when the producer took them off the vines or palms in the case of bananas. Green, that when the tomato or banana is green, it contains much less nutrition and almost none of the flavor, of course. And what they would do to make it look red or yellow, they would gas it up with ethylene. That is a gas that makes those fruits get the color. But the thing is, it only works with colors, so you do not get any nutrition or taste from those seemingly ripe tomatoes and bananas. But if you buy organic, or if you shop in stores like Whole Foods, Trader Joe, or Costco, you actually get the real thing. Especially if you buy, in case of tomatoes, hothouse grown. That means that those tomatoes were ripened on the vine, and you get much better quality, much better taste, and much better nutrition, of course. And the last food that I want to talk about, I guess, is peppers. You know how there are colored peppers, bell peppers, green, yellow, and red. But did you know that those are the same peppers, just in different stages of ripeness? And by the way, peppers cannot be gassed up with ethylene. So whenever you see red or yellow pepper, those peppers are actually ripe, and they nutritionally better. They have more nutrients than green peppers, and they usually taste much better too. So go for orange, for red bell peppers when you buy them at the store. Again, let's just recap. We're not going to talk about all the foods, but your first defense as a consumer and someone who's trying to eat the best quality foods to get the maximum nutrition is a shortcut first is to shop at stores like Whole Foods, like Trader Joe or Costco. Also, there are all kinds of online subscription these days when you can get the best quality products, like Butcher's Box is very popular, for example. But there are also other farmers that have online subscription where you can order a box of, for example, organic pasture-raised chicken delivered to your door in the amount that you consume. The second thing is to always read the ingredient list. Doesn't matter what it says on the front label, just don't pay attention to it, because again, the law does not require anything to be true on the front label. On the ingredient list, at least, they gotta specify the ingredients in the order of the most used in that product. So for example, if it's some kind of juice mix, then the first gotta be the juice that is used in the biggest amount in that mix. So check the ingredient list, and if there is something that you buy on a regular basis, go online, do the research, and make sure that that thing is of a good quality and it is exactly what it says on the label, because that matters, guys, a lot. If you're eating some conventionally grown beef, for example, and that beef is animal is fed or grown on antibiotics, do you know why they use antibiotics? Well, besides keeping the animal disease free or pathogens free, antibiotics are used to fatten animals up. But did you know that a lot of those residual antibiotics still remain in your meat when you eat it? And guess what? That also contributes to fattening you up. So even from the weight loss, fat loss perspective, eating grass-fed meat or good quality products is what you want to do to avoid getting fat and getting belly fat and getting all kinds of sickness and disease and inflammation and autoimmune conditions. So that's it, guys. If you have any questions, if you have any thoughts that you want to share with me, just shoot me an email to angela@createyourself.today. Check out the show notes for the book. Read this book, amazing, again, written beautifully by an amazing food writer, and I haven't covered a lot of things that are in the book, just something that I think can be used by the most people. And thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate all the feedback that coming in. Share this podcast, rate it on iTunes to share the health with more people. And till next time, eat better daily.